Hello grade 11 students. Today I am here to teach you chapter 13 in your textbook that's called equations. In previous classes you have done several equations. Simple equations, simultaneous equations and quadratic equations with factorization. In this lesson mainly we focused solving quadratic equations using quadratic formula and by completing square method. First we'll revise the simple linear equations. Let's take these examples. X plus 3 is 10. How can we solve these equations? So straight away, if you want x, you can write x is 10 minus 3. When you take 3 to the other side, you get minus 3. So 10 minus 3, you get 7. This one, again a simple equation. We need to find out x. Take minus 7 to the other side. Minus 7, when you take it to the other side, that becomes plus 7. 7 plus 2, you get 9. This one, minus 3x is 6. How we find out x? You divide this by minus 3. 6 divided by minus 3, you are getting minus 2. This one, x divided by minus 7 is 2. So how can we find out x? We multiplied 2 by negative 7. You get negative 14. So in these equations, we do the opposite operation. So first one, we had plus 3. What's the opposite operation? We subtracted 3. Second example, there's minus 7 is there, opposite of minus 7, you are adding plus 7. This one multiplied by minus 3. What's the opposite of multiplication? That's division. So you divide by minus 3 to get x. Last one, it's divided by minus 7. So what you do? You multiplied by minus 7 to get the x value. So all these you need to remember to do the inverse operation. So all these inverse operations. Plus becomes minus, minus becomes plus, multiplication becomes division, and division becomes multiplication. Now we'll take another simple equation and you're asked to solve. That means you need to find out the value of x. What's the first step? Here we get x in right hand side as well as left hand side. So best thing is to expand brackets and take all x terms to one side. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 3, 6. Plus 7 is equal to x plus 15. Then simplify these two. You get 2x plus 13 equals x plus 15. Now take all x terms to one side. Which one is the smallest one? X. When you compare 2x. So take that to this side. Then this number you can take it to the other side. So 2x minus x is equal to 15 minus 13. So what is 15 minus 13 is 2. 2x minus x becomes 1x or x. So the answer is x equals 2. Look at this one. You get fractions. X plus 3 over 2, x minus 1 over 3 is equal to 7. So when you get fractions, The easiest way to solve these is to get rid of this denominator. So what is the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3? So the lowest common multiple is 6. First step is to multiply all these terms by the lowest common multiple. When you do that, you can get rid of this denominator. 2 times 3, 3 times 2. Then expand brackets. You have to put brackets here. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 3, 9. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times minus 1, minus 2 is equal to 7 times 6 is 42. Now add all the x terms. 3x and 2x becomes 5x. 9 minus 2, you get 7 is equal to 42. So what is x? 5x equals 42 minus 7. What is 42 minus 7? 35. 5x equals 35. What's the value of x? 35 divided by 5, you get 7 as the answer. Look at this one. 2 and 4 in the denominator. What's the first step to get rid of this denominator? You can multiply by the lowest common multiple. Lowest common multiple of 2 and 4 is 4. I can multiply all these terms by 4. Now simplify. 2 and 2, 4 and 4 get cancelled out. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2 plus x minus 3 equals 4 times 4 is 16. 6x and x becomes 7x. Minus 2 and minus 3, you get minus 5 is equal to 16. So 7x equals 16 plus 5, you get 21 as 7x. So how can we find out x? You divide this by 7. The answer is 3. This one, you get two fractions. What's the easiest way to do? Cross multiplication. So when you cross multiply, you get 7 times x minus 2 is equal to 6 times x plus 3. Then open brackets. 7 times x, 7x. 7 times 2, 14. 6 times x, 6x. 6 times 3, 18. Now take all x terms to one side. Which one is the smallest? 6x. So we'll take 6x to this side and minus 14 to the other side. 7x minus 6x is equal to 18 plus 14. What is 18 plus 14? You get 32 is equal to 1x. Now we'll look at what are simultaneous equations. Simultaneous equations are two equations with two unknowns. When you get simultaneous equations, you need to understand whether to subtract the two equations or add the two equations to get rid of one variable. Now, for example, we'll take plus 4 and plus 4. When you have plus 4 and plus 4 in the two equations, how can we get rid of these two? Plus 4, you need to subtract. So when you do 1 minus 2, it get cancelled out and you get 0. When you have minus 5 and minus 5, what happens? Again, when you subtract these two, you get 0. Then we'll take minus 3 and plus 3. Now what happens? How can we get rid of this? Minus 3 and plus 3. You have to add these two to get 0. So 1 plus 2, you get 0. We'll write 9 and minus 9. How you get 0? You have to add the two equations. So what we can observe, when you get same coefficient with same sign. So these two, same coefficient with same sign. What you do to get rid of the variable? We subtract. So this is important. Same coefficient with same sign, we subtract the two equations. What we do here? When you get same coefficient with different signs, so what you do to get 0? We add the two equations. So this is also important. Same coefficient with different signs, we add the two equations. So when you get simultaneous equations, remember this idea. Now look at these examples. Decide whether to add or subtract to get rid of one variable. So we'll look at these examples. Coefficient of x is different, so you can't do anything. But when you look at coefficient of y, this is minus 3 and plus 3. Same sign, same coefficient, different signs. What you do? We need to add the two equations. So we need to add 1 and 2 to get rid of the y variable. Look at this one. 3x and 9x, the coefficient of x's are different. Look at y. Minus 11 and minus 11. Same coefficient, same sign. Same sign, we subtract. Now, which way we can subtract? 1 minus 2 or 2 minus 1? It's easier to subtract 2 minus 1 because 9x is bigger than 3x. So I can write 2 minus 1 to get rid of y variable. This one, 7a plus 3b and 7a minus 2b. Coefficient of a's are equal. And look at the sign. Plus 7 and plus 7. Same sign, same coefficients. We need to subtract the two equations. So which way? I can subtract 1 minus 2. This one. Which variable has the same coefficients? Q has the same coefficients. One is negative 3, the other one is positive 3. So what we do? Same coefficient with different signs. We add the two equations. Again, look at these ones. 8a plus b, 8a minus b. Here, both coefficients are the same. A coefficient is 8, b coefficient is 1. You can decide any variable to get cancelled out. If I take a to get rid of, what I should do? Plus 8 and plus 8. I can do subtraction to get rid of a. So 1 minus 2, I can get rid of the variable a. If I do addition, now look at the coefficient of b. If I add the two equations, I can get rid of b value. So in this example, you can do either addition or subtraction to get rid of one variable. This one, only x coefficients are equal. So what's the method? Plus 1 and plus 1. Same coefficient, same sign. We need to subtract the two equations. So 1 minus 2 is better because 9 is bigger than 3. This one again, both these coefficients are the same. If you take y as the coefficient, plus 5, so you can subtract the two equations. So here I can write 2 minus 1, I can get rid of y variable. If I do addition, here look at plus 3 and minus 3, same coefficient with different signs. When you add it, I can get rid of this x variable. So if I do 1 plus 2, I can get rid of x variable. So you can decide which one you will get rid of. This one, only x coefficients are equal. 13 and 13. So same sign and same coefficient. So you need to subtract. Either this or this, doesn't matter. When you do 1 minus 2, you get a negative answer. So 2 minus 1 is better. Now we'll try to solve the simultaneous equations. Look at this one. So we'll first label the two equations 1 and 2. Then what you do? Look at the coefficients. Coefficient of y is equal to each other. This is 3 and 3. But signs are different. Minus 3 and plus 3. Same coefficient, different sign. You need to add the two equations to get rid of y. So I am doing 1 plus 2. Now add these two. I'll write first one plus the second one is equal to 7 plus 28. 7 plus 28, you get 35. This one, 2x and 5x, 7x, minus 3y and 3y get cancelled out. So 7x is equal to 35. X is equal to 35 divided by 7. You get 5. Now we found x value. How can we find out the y value? We can take either equation 1 or 2 and substitute. I'll take first equation and I'll substitute. X as 5. 2 times 5 minus 3y equals 7. 2 times 5 is 10 minus 3y equals 7. Then minus 3y is 7 minus 10. That's minus 3. Y equals 5 Negative 3 divided by negative 3. You get positive 1. So what's the answer for this simultaneous equation? You get x equals 5 and y equals 1. Now take this equation. Again, two equations, 1 and 2. Coefficient of b, you get same, but coefficient of a's are different. So minus minus, signs also the same. So what you do? Signs same as well as the coefficients are the same. You can subtract. Which way we can do? I can do 1 minus 2. Then 8a. So when you are subtracting, sometimes you don't need to write it again. You can straight away subtract. So take the left hand side. 8a minus 2a is equal to. Why? This get cancelled out. You don't need to write it down. 17 minus minus 1, you get positive 1. 8a minus 2a is 6a. 17 plus 1 is 18. So what is a? 18 divided by 6, you get 3. Now find out the b value. I'll take the first equation. And substitute 3 for a. 8 times 3 minus 7b equals 17. 24 minus 7b is equal to 17. So minus 7b equals 17 minus 24. So what is the answer? You get 24 minus 17. You have to do this way. So you get 7 minus 7 as the answer. Minus 7b is minus 7. So b is equal to, you divide minus 7 by minus 7, you get plus 1. So what's the answer? A equals 3 and b equals 1. Look at this equation now. You will see now here x term in one side and the y variables are on the other side. Doesn't matter as long as the same coefficient in one side. So no need to write it again. I can label this one as 1 and 2. Coefficient of y are the same, so you can subtract the two equations because same sign. Which way? I can do 1 minus 2. Because 4 minus 2, you get a positive answer. So 4x minus 2x, I get 2x. 3 minus 9, I get minus 6 is equal to 3y minus 3y, 0. Then take it to the other side. 2x equals 6. X equals 6 divided by 2. I get 3. Now take one of the equations and substitute for x. 4 times 3, 12 plus 3 equals 3y. 12 plus 3 is 15 is equal to 3y. So how you find out y? 15 divided by 3. The answer is 5. X is 3, y is 5. Now we look at review exercise in your textbook. Solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations. Look at carefully. First equation and second equation. The coefficients are not equal. So the first step is to make the coefficients equal. How can we make it equal? When you multiply the second equation by 2, you get 2y. So first thing I'll do, I'll take the second equation, multiply by 2. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times y, 2y. 2 times 3, 6. That's my third equation. Now we can look at 1 and 3. Same coefficients with different signs for y. I can add the two equations. 1 plus 3. 6x plus 8x, 14x. 1 plus 6 becomes 7. Because plus 2y minus 2y get cancelled out. Then what is x? X equals 7 divided by 14, or I can write as half. Now substitute x in one of the equations and find out y. Which one is easy? I can take equation 2 to substitute. 4 times x. X is half. Minus y equals 3. When you simplify, you get 2 minus y equals 3. Minus y equals 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. So what's the y value? Y value becomes negative 1. So answer is x equals half and y equals negative 1. This one, coefficients are not equal. So which way is easy? Make a coefficients equal. I'll take the first one and multiply it by 2. When I multiply first equation by 2, I get 2a plus 4b equals 6. That's my third equation. Now compare second one and third one. Same coefficients and same sign, you can subtract. Which way is easy? 3 minus 2. So when you subtract, a get cancelled out. You get 4b minus 3b, that's b. 6 minus 4, you get 2. Now we found out b equals 2. Take one of the equations and substitute. What's the value of a? A plus 2 times 2, you get 4 equals 3. Now you can straight away find out the a value. 3 minus 4. Answer is minus 1. So a value is minus 1 and b value is 2. Look at part C. Which one is easy? Either you can multiply the first equation by 3, or I can multiply the second equation by 2 to get the same coefficients. Which way is easy? You can decide. I'll do taking the second one multiplied by 2. Then what happens? 6m plus 4n equals 8. That's my third equation. Now I'm comparing 1 and 3. Same coefficients of n. One is positive, one is negative. So we need to add the two equations. 6m plus m, you get 7m. 6 plus 8, 14. M equals 14. Divide by 7, you get 2. Now substitute to the equation. I'll take the first one. 2 is m minus 4n equals 6. Minus 4n is 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. What's n value? 4 divided by minus 4, you get minus 1. So m is 2 and n equals minus 1. Part D, you can't make the coefficients equal by just taking one equation. You have to multiply both the equation by a constant value. Now see, to get q equal, you have to multiply first equation by 3, second equation by 2. If you want the coefficient of p to equal, first one you have to multiply by 7 and the second one multiply by 9. So which one is easier? I'll do making the coefficients equal to coefficients of q equal to each other. So that means I'll take first one multiplied by 3, second one multiplied by 2. 3 times 9, 27. 3 times 13, 39. That's my third equation. Then next one, multiply by 2. 2 times 7, 14. And you get 6p here. 2 times 0, 0. That's my fourth equation. Now what should I do? Same sign, same coefficient. I need to subtract. I'll do 3 minus 4. 3 minus 4, I get 13p is equal to 39. So p is equal to 39 over 13. You get 3. Now take one of the equations, 1 and substitute. I'll take 1. 9p, 9 times 3 minus 2q equals 13. 27 minus 2q is 13. Minus 2q is 13 minus 27. So what's the answer? You get minus 14 is minus 2q. Q equals plus 7. Minus, divide by minus, you get a positive answer. So the answer is P equals 3 and Q equals 7. If you want to check whether the answers are correct, you can substitute these values and see whether you are getting the same answer as the right hand side. Look at this one. Again, you have to multiply both the equations. I'll take making x coefficients equal. 1 multiplied by 3, 2 multiplied by 2. 3 times 2, 6x, 3 times 3, 9y, 3 times 12, 36. 2 times 3, 6x, 2 times 8, 8y is equal to 2. This is my third one and fourth one. Now what we do? Same coefficient of x and both are same sign. We subtract the equations. I'll do 3 minus 4. 9y minus 8y, you get 9 plus 8. 17y is equal to 36 minus 2, 34. So what's the y value? 34 divided by 17, you get 2. Now substitute to one of the equations. I'll take the first one. 2x plus 3 times 2, 6 is equal to 12. Then 2x equals 12 minus 6, you get 6. X is equal to 6 divided by 2, that's 3. So what's the answer? X equals 3 and y equals 2. Now look at this one. Here, order is not the same. Now we'll write A terms together. Otherwise it's difficult. So I'll rewrite this as 2a here. 2a plus 13 is equal to 3b. So this is my first equation. This is my second equation. Now look at the coefficients. You need to make coefficients equal. I'll take coefficient of A. First one multiplied by 2, second one multiplied by 3. You get 6a, 6a. 2 times 12, 24. 2 times 2b, 4b. That's my third one. Second equation, 3 times 13 is 39. 3 times 3, 9b. That's my fourth equation. Now, same sign, same coefficient, we need to subtract the two equations. I can do 4 minus 3. So, A get cancelled out. 39 minus 24. I get 15. 9b minus 4b, it's 5b. So, what's the b value? 15 divided by 5, that's equal to 3. Now, we'll find out A by substituting to one of the equations. So, I'll take A as the equation. So, 3A plus 12 is equal to 2B. 2 times 3, 6. So, 3A becomes 6 minus 12. You get minus 6. A is equal to minus 6 divided by 3. That's equal to minus 2. So, the answer is A equals minus 2 and B equals 3. Look at the worded problem now. It says Sarath has 20 2 rupee and 5 rupee coins, which total is 55 rupees. Let X be the number of 2 rupee coins and Y be the number of 5 rupee coins. Sarath has expressed the given information in two equations, and how many of each type of coin does he have? Now we'll summarize the given information. So, Sarath has 2 rupee coins and 5 rupee coins. Let's take here, it's given X as the number of 2 rupee coins and Y as the number of 5 rupee coins. Now express the given information in two equations. Altogether it's given he got 20 coins. 20 coins means X and Y. X plus Y is 20. That's our first equation. And the second one, it says the value, the total is 55. If we have X number of 2 rupee coins, the amount is 2X. If we have 5 rupee coins, the total we have is 5Y. That's equal to 55. That's our second equation. Now we need to solve the two equations and find out what is X and Y. Now here we can easily multiply the first one by 2 to get rid of X term. When you multiply by 2, you get 2X plus 2Y equals 40. That's our third one. Now subtract the two equations because same sign, same coefficient of X's. So subtract 2 minus 3, I get 5y minus 2y, 3y, 55 minus 40, 15. Y equals 15 divided by 3, that's equal to 5. Now substitute in the first equation, I get X plus 5 equals 20. So what's the X value? 20 minus 5, I get 15. So how many 2 rupee coins Sarath got? So 2 rupee coins, 15 2 rupee coins, and how many 5 rupee coins? That's 5. 5 rupee coins, he got 5. Question number 3. Malini and Nalini have a certain amount of money. When you add 30 rupees to the sum of the amount Malini and Nalini have, the total amounts to 175 rupees. Nalini has 95 rupees, less than twice the amount Malini has. Let X rupees be the amount of money Malini has and Y rupees be the amount of money Nalini has. express the given information in two equations and how much does each person actually have. In this equation, you have to read the whole thing because already given, take x as this and y as this. So you need to read the whole question. So we'll take two people, Malini and Nalini. The amount of money Malini has x, this is y. And it says when you add 30 rupees to the sum of the amounts Malini and Nalini have, the total amount is 175. Now we'll try to do that when you add 30 rupees to that, to the sum of the amount. So x is the amount that Malini has, y is the amount of Nalini has. When you add 30 to that, it says it's 175 rupees. So how can we write an equation from this information? We can write x plus y plus 30 is 175 and take 30 to the other side and write x plus y equals 175 minus 30. You get 145. That's our first equation. Now read the next one. Nalini has 95 rupees less than. Twice the amount of Malini has. Twice the amount and this should be greater than this amount and 95 less. So how can we construct an equation from that? So we can write Malini has y with the amount of money. Read the question from here. Nalini has 95 less than twice the amount Malini has. So Nalini has twice the amount Malini has and less than 95. So we can write down the second equation like this, and when you take it to the other side, what happens? I can rewrite this equation and write 2x minus y equals 95. So I can write down the equation 2x minus y equals 95. That's my second equation. So now we can solve the two equations and find out the answer. So what we can do? Look at carefully. We can see coefficient of y, both are equal, but one is positive, one is negative. So we need to add the two equations. So I'll do 1 plus 2. I get 1x plus 2x becomes 3x. When you add these two, you get 240. So x is equal to 240 divided by 3, 80 as x. And what's the y value? I'll take the first equation and find out the y value. Y equals 145 minus 80. That's equal to 65. So what is x? X is the amount of money Malini has. So I can write Malini has 80 rupees and Nalini has 65 rupees. Look at question number 4. It cost 65 rupees to buy 2 books and a pen. You can buy one such book at the cost of 2 such pens. Construct 2 simultaneous equations to represent this information and solve them to find the price of a book and a pen separately. Now we have to take X and Y for the price of book and a pen. We'll take X is the price for a book and Y is the price for a pen. It cost 65 rupees to buy 2 books. 2 books means 2x and a pen means Y, that cost 65 rupees. That's our first equation. Then the next one, you can buy 1 such book at the cost of 2 such pens. 2 pens is equal to 1 book. That's our second equation. Now I can substitute x as 2y for the first equation. I'll take the first equation and substitute 2y instead of x. 2 instead of x I can write 2y plus y equals 65. 2 times 2, 4. 4y plus y equals 65. 5y equals 65. So what's y? Divide by 5. 13. Then what's the x value? You can take the second equation and find out the x. X is equal to 2y. 2 times 13. 26. So what's the price of a book? So the book cost 26 rupees and a pen cost 13 rupees. Now we'll look at example number 1. It says Kamal and Nimal have a certain amount of money. When you add half of the amount Kamal has to 1/3 of the amount Nimal has to get 20 rupees. If 1/4 of what Kamal has is equal to 1/6 of what Nimal has, find the amounts Nimal and Kamal have separately. Now we'll try to sketch what it's given. There are 2 people, Kamal and Nimal. We can take x as the amount Kamal has and y as the amount Nimal has. It says when you add half the amount Kamal has to 1/3 of the amount Nimal has and you get 20 rupees. That's our first equation. And try to write down the next one. If 1/4 of what Kamal has, 1/4 of what Kamal has is equal to the 1/6 of what Nimal has. That's our second equation. Now we need to solve these 2 equations. I'll teach you 2 methods. First one, by get rid of the denominators. 2 and 3, you find the lowest common multiple and multiply all the terms by the lowest common multiple. And the second method, I'll teach you without reducing this denominator, how we can solve. We'll first take this method, multiply all these terms by the lowest common multiple. When I take the first one, multiplied by 6, because lowest common multiple of 3 and 2 is 6. So what am I getting? I'm getting 2 times 3, 3 times 2. So 3x plus 2y equals 120. This one, what is the lowest common multiple of 4 and 6? That's 12. Multiply by 12. I get 3 and 2. What's the second equation? I'm getting 3x equals 2y. I'll write 3 and 4. I can substitute 2y instead of 3x. I'll take the third equation, substitute 2y there. 2y plus 2y equals 120. 4y equals 120. What's the y value? You get 30. Now substitute to fourth equation. And find out the x value. So 3x equals 2y. 2 times 30 is 60. So what's x value? Divide by 3, you get 20. So according to this one, Kamal has 20 rupees. And Nimal has 30 rupees. Now we'll take the next method. We'll take the original equation. Original equation is this: half x plus 1/3 y equals 20. And the next one is 1/4 x is equal to 1/6y. Now look at the coefficient of x's. First thing, I'll take this y term to the other side. I'm getting 1/4 x minus 1/6y is equal to 0. I'll take this one as first one, this one as second one. Now how can we make the coefficients equal? If I divide this by 2 or multiply it by half the first equation, I get 1/4 x. So I'll take the first one, multiply by half. Half times half, I get 1/4 x. Half times 1/3, I get 1/6y. Then half times 20, I get 10. That's my third equation. Now, these two are also same. So I can just add the two equations to get rid of y. 2 plus 3, I get 1/4 plus 1/4, 2/4 x is equal to 10. So what is x? X equals 2 times 10, 20. Then I can take the second equation and write down 1/4 x means 20 divided by 4. You get 5 minus 1/6y equals 0. Y equals y/6. So what's y? 6 times 5, 30 rupees. So here we got the same answer as before. So either you can multiply the whole equation by the lowest common multiple or make the coefficients equal. Now look at example number 2. Again you get fractions. So what's the first step? You can multiply by the lowest common multiple. So I'll do both ways again. This one, when you take the first one, what's the lowest common multiple? 6 and 5, that's 30. I'll multiply this by 30. Second equation, 3 and 4, lowest common multiple is 12. Multiply this by 12. So what you get? 6 times 5, so you get 5a minus 5 times 6, 6 times b, 6b is equal to minus 2 times 30 minus 60. That's first equation. Second one, multiply by 12. 3 times 4, you get 4a plus 4 times 3, you get 3b here. You get 9 times 12, 9 times 2, 18, 1 remaining, 9 times 1, 9, plus 1, 10. That's our second equation. Now, still the coefficients are not equal. I need to multiply 2 by 2 to get 6. So 2 times 4, you get 8, 6b, 2 times this, I get 216. Now I can consider equation 1 and 3 and add the two equations because the signs are different. 8 plus 5, 13a is equal to 216 minus 60. I get 156. So what's a value? 156 divided by 13. 13 times 1 is 13. For 26, that's 2. So a equals 12. Now take 1 and 2. No need to take these two equations. We can take the original equation. So I'll take the first one. A is 12. 12 divided by 6, you get 2 minus 1 over 5b equals minus 2. Then take this one to this side. I get 4 equals 1 over 5b. So what's the b value? 5 times 4, 20. So I'm getting a equals 12 and b equals 20. Now I can do the second method. Second method, I am trying to make the coefficients equal. Now look at coefficient of a, 1/6 and 1/3. If I multiply second equation by half, I am getting 1/6. So I'll use that method to get the same coefficients. So first one is 1 over 6a minus 1 over 5b equals minus 2. Second one, I'm going to multiply by half. Half times 1/3, I get 1/6a. Half times 1/4, 1 over 8b. And 9 times half, I get 9 over 2. Now these are my two equations. I'll take 3 and 4. Now I can subtract the 2. I'll do 4 minus 3. 1 over 8b minus 1 over 5b equals, when I subtract, what happens? Minus minus becomes plus here. 9 over 2 minus minus 2 becomes plus 2. What's the denominator of 8 and 5? Common denominator 40. Now I can multiply all these by 40. 40, 40, 40 and 40. 8 times 5, so 5b plus 5 times 8, 8b is equal to 40 divided by 2, 20. 20 multiplied by 9, 180. Plus 2 times 40, 80. Now simplify. 13b equals, you get 260. So b equals 20. And you can take one of the equation and substitute like this before. So you get same answer as before. Example 3. Which way is easy? I'll take the lowest common multiple and multiply all the terms. So 2 and 3, 6 is the lowest common multiple. 6 and 3, again 6 is the lowest common multiple. Now simplify. 6 divided by 2, 3. 3 and 6, I get 2. 2 times 2, 4n is equal to 6. That's my first equation. This one, 6 get cancelled out. I get 5m. 3 and 6, 2 times n, 2n. 4 times 6, 24. Second equation. Still the coefficients are not equal. So I need to take the second equation, multiply by 2 to get 4n. So multiply by 2. 10m plus 4n equals 48. That's my third equation. Now subtract. We have to consider 1 and 3. Subtract the two equations. 3 minus 1. 10 minus 7. 10 minus 3. You get 7. 48 minus 6. You get 42. So m equals 42 divided by 7. You get 6. Now substitute to one of the equations and find out the n value. I'll take the first equation. Without taking the fractions, I'll take first equation here. 3m. 3 times 6, 18 plus 4n equals 6. So 4n equals 6 minus 18. What is 6 minus 18? Minus 12. So 4n equals minus 12. So what's the n value? N equals minus 12 divided by 4. You get minus 3. So what's the answer? M equals 6 and n equals minus 3. Exercise 13.1. Solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations. So here you get fractions. Try to get rid of the fractions. Multiply by the lowest common multiple. What's the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3? 15. I can multiply all these terms by 15. What's the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3? 6. Multiply by 6. Now write down the equation. 5 times 3, 3 times 3, 9a. 3 times 5, 5 times b, 5b. 3 times 15, you get 45. That's my first equation. Second one, multiply by 6. 2 times 3, 3 times 8, 3a. Then minus 6 divided by 3, 2. 2 times minus b, minus 2b is equal to 8 times 6, 48. Now look at the two equations. Coefficients are not equal. I can take the second equation multiplied by 3. So when you multiply by 3, I get 9a minus 6b equals 3 times 8, 24, 2 remaining, 3 times 4, 12, plus 2, 14. So that's my third equation. Now I can look at 1 and 3. I need to subtract. I'll do 1 minus 3. 9a get cancelled out. 5b minus 6b, that's addition. You get 11b. 45 minus 144. I get 99. So what's the b value? 99 divided by 11, you get 9. Now find out a. I can find out a by taking the previous equation or this one. I'll take the second one. 3a minus 2b. 2 times 9, 18 is equal to 48. 3a equals 48 plus 18. 48 plus 18 means 8 plus 8, 16. 1 remaining. 5 plus 1, 6. So 66. A equals divide by 3. You get 22. So what's the answer? A equals 22 and B equals 9. Part B. Again a fraction multiplied by the lowest common multiple. 5 and 2, you get 10 as the lowest common multiple. 4 and 2, what's the lowest common multiple? That's 4. Now simplify. 5 and 10, you get 2. 2 times 3, 6x. 10 and 2, you get 5. 5 times y, 5y. 9 times 10, 90. That's my first equation. Second one, 4 and 4 get cancelled out. I get x minus 2 and 4, 2. 2 times 1, 2y. 4 times 2, 8. Second equation. To make the coefficient equal, I need to take the second one and multiply it by 6. 6x minus 12y equals 48. Now when I look at 1 and 3, same coefficients and same sign. I can subtract the two equations. I'll do 1 minus 2. 6x get cancelled out. Minus 5y minus 12y means minus 5 plus 12. You get 7y. 90 minus 48. I am getting 42. What's the y value? 42 divided by 7. That's 6. And take one of the equations. I'll take the second equation and find out x. So x minus 2y, 2 times 6, 12 is equal to 8. So what's the x value? 8 plus 12, that's 20. So x is 20 and y equals 6. This one. Again, you get fractions. I can just think about this y coefficients. If I multiply the second equation by half, I can get rid of the y value. So I'll do, take the second equation, multiply by half. Half times half, I get 1/4 x. Half times this, I get minus half y. 1 times half, half. Now 1 and 3 I can add because same coefficient with different sign. 1/3 plus 1/4 x. When I add these two, I can take x out. 1 half y minus 1/2 y, you can see it get cancelled out. 4 plus half, 4.5. Or I can write either 4.5 or 9/2. 4 times 2, 8. 8 plus 1, 9. Now simplify this part. 3 and 4, you need 12 to make the same coefficient, same denominator. Then 4 plus 3 becomes 7. This is equal to 9/2. So what's the x value? 9/2 multiplied by 12/7. I get 9 times 6, 54/7. Or I can simplify further. 7 times 7, 49. 49 plus 5, 54. So 5/7 as x. Then what's the y value? I can use the second equation to find out the y value. Half x, half into x. X I'll take this one. 54/7 minus y equals 1. When you multiply this by this half, I get 2 times 2, 4 and 7. 27/7. So minus y equals 1 and then minus 27 over 7. So simplify this. When you simplify this, I get minus y equals, take the same coefficient, 7 is there, 7 minus 27. 7 minus 27 is minus 20 over 7. Minus y equals minus 20 over 7. So what's the y value? You need to consider the positive value, 20 over 7. Or I can simplify and write down 7 times 2, 14. 14 and 6 remaining, 6 over 7. So what's the x value? X value is 7 and 5 sevenths, and y value is 2 and 6 over 7. So those are the two answers. Part D. How can I get rid of these fractions? I can consider the lowest common multiple and multiply, or look at these two. I can get the same coefficient. So when you simplify this one, second equation, what am I getting? I can take the second equation and rewrite this. This is half p, 3 times 1, 3, 3 plus 2, 5 over 3. So this is the same equation. So I can write second equation. This is second equation. Now look at carefully. First and second one. Coefficient of q. First one is 1/3. Second one is 5/3. So when you multiply this by 5, you get the same coefficient. So we'll take the first one and multiply it by 5. So what you get? 5 times 2, 10. 10 over 7p minus 5 times 1/3, 5 over 3. Q is equal to 5 times 5, 25. That's my third equation. Same coefficient, same sign. We can subtract the two equations. I'll do 3 minus 2. 10 over 7p minus half p is equal to 25 minus 12. So what is 25 minus 12? I get 13. Then 7 and 2, what's the lowest common multiple? 14. 2 times 10, 20, and 7 here. That's equal to 13. Simplify, 20 minus 7, I get 13p over 14 equals 13. So what's the p value? P value is 14 multiplied by 13 and divided by 13. I get 14 as the answer. Now we need to find out the p value. So which equation is easy to plug the value? I'll take the first equation. Take the first equation and substitute. 2 over 7 p. P is 14 now. Minus 1/3 q is equal to 5. 7 times 2, 2 times 2, 4. 4 minus 1/3 q equals 5. Now take 4 to the other side. Minus 1/3 q is equal to 5 minus 4, we get 1. So what's the q value? Q value is minus 3 over 1, or I can write just minus 3. So we can write finally P equals 14 and Q equals minus 3. This one, look at carefully whether we can take the same coefficients. Here 3 and 12, they are 5n in the numerator. That means if we multiply by 1/4, we get 1/12. So I'll take the first one multiplied by 1/4. So what am I getting? 1/4 into 1/4, 1/16. So m/16 is equal plus m/16 plus multiply by 1/4, I get 5n/12. Multiply by 1/4, that means 36 divided by 4. It's 9. That's my second equation. Look at, we'll label this one as 3. Look at second and third equations. You get same coefficient of n and the signs are different. I can add the two equations to get rid of n. Add these two. So 3m/8 plus m/16 is equal to 9 minus 2, that's 7. What's the common denominator? 16. So multiply this by 2. 2 times 3, 6m plus m equals 7. 7m/16 is equal to 7. So what's the m value? 7 into 16 divided by 7, you get 16. Now we found out m value is 16. Take one of the equations and find out the n value. I'll take the first one. First equation, substitute m divided by 4. 16 divided by 4, it's 4. Plus 5n divided by 3 equals 36. Take 4 to the other side. 5n/3 equals 36 minus 4. You get 32. So what's the n value? 32 multiplied by 3 divided by 5. What's the answer? 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 3, 9. 96 divided by 5. When you simplify, you get 5 times 1, 5. For 46, that's 9. 1 remaining, that's 1/5. What's the answer? M equals 16 and N equals 19 and 1/5. Take this one. How can we make the same coefficients? It's easy to get rid of the first equation with this denominator. So take the lowest common multiple and multiply all the terms. So 3 and 2, 6 is the multiple. Multiply all the terms by 6 and simplify. 3 times 2, 6. 2 times 2, 4x. 2 times 3, 3 times 3, 9y. Minus 1 times 6, minus 6. So this is my first equation and this is my second equation. Now we see coefficient of x is the same and the signs are the same. I can subtract the two equations. I'll do 2 minus 1. 4x get cancelled out. 9y minus 5y, that means addition. 9 plus 5, I get 14y. Minus 6 minus 22, again we are adding negative values. I get minus 28. So what's the y value? Minus 28 divided by 14, that's minus 2. Now take one of the equations and find out the x value. I'll take the first one. 4x minus 5y. 5 times minus 2, minus 10. So minus into minus becomes plus 10 is equal to 22. What is 4x? 22 minus 10. I get 12. X equals 12 divided by 4. That's 3. So the answer is x equals 3 and y equals minus 2. Now we'll look at the worded problem here. So we need to identify what are the variables and how we can solve this equation. First we'll read the question. At a festival held in a school, the Past Pupils Association agreed to bear half of the amount spent on refreshments and 1/3 of the amount spent on decorations. Accordingly, the amount given by the Past Pupils Association was 20,000 rupees. Rest of the amount spent on refreshments and decorations was given by the Welfare Society, which was 30,000. Taking the amount on refreshment as X and the decorations as Y, construct a pair of simultaneous equations to indicate the above information and then ask you to solve the equations and find separately the amount spent on refreshments and decorations. So there are two variables, amount for refreshments and for decoration. It says take X as amount for refreshment and Y for amount of decoration. Now read the first sentence. It says half of the amount spent on refreshments, half the amount, that means half X, and the 1/3 of the amount spent on decorations. 1/3, that means 1/3 Y. The amount given by the Past Pupil Association was 20,000. So these two is equal to 20,000. That's our first equation. Now look at the next one. Rest of the money spent on refreshments and decorations was given by the Welfare Society which was 30,000. And it's given the rest of the money. Now here earlier half of the amount for refreshments for the previous one and 1/3. What's the rest means? The remaining part. So the remaining part of refreshments is half X. What's the remaining part of the decoration? 1/3 is for the previous one. Then this becomes 2/3 Y. So when you add these two, it's given as 30,000. So this is our second equation. Now we need to solve the two equations. Here coefficient of x's are equal and same sign. So we can subtract the two equations. I can do 2 minus 1. Half x get cancelled out. 2/3 y minus 1/3 y. What's the value? I get 1/3 y. 30,000 minus 20,000, that's 10,000. So what's the y value? Y value is 3 times 10,000. So you get 30,000 as the y value. And what's the x value? I can substitute to one of the equations and find out the answer. Half x plus 1/3 y. 30,000 divided by 3. What's 30,000 divided by 3? We get 10,000 is equal to 20,000. Now take 10,000 to the other side. Half x equals 20,000 minus 10,000 is 10,000. x becomes 2 times 10,000. I get answer as 20,000. So what is x there? X is the amount spent on refreshment. So here they spent for refreshment 20,000. And for decorations 30,000. Now we'll look at what are quadratic equations. In previous classes you have done this already. Quadratic means when you get the equation in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So you get a square term, an x term and a constant. Sometimes you get only the square term with the constant, sometimes square term with the x term. But a cannot be equal to 0. Why? If a is 0, this whole term get cancelled out and you get only a simple equation. So, for example, what are the quadratic equations? You can get 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Or you can get x squared term with x term and the constant is 0. Or any x squared term with the constant. So these are the quadratic equations. So when we want to solve quadratic equations, you need to know how to factorize the quadratic expressions. Now before that, can you remember when we are doing simple equations? 3x equals 6. How you get x? 6 divided by 3. You get 2. When you get something minus 4x equals 8, how you get x? You divide by minus 4. X equals 8 divided by minus 4. You get minus 2. Now what happens if it's something 2x equals 0? Similarly, how can we find out x? 0 divided by 2. What is 0 divided by 2? You get 0. Any negative x, negative 3x equals 0? How can we find out x? You can do 0 divided by minus 3. You get 0. So that means when you have any number a into x, what's the x value? You can say x value is 0 because when you divide 0 with any number, you get 0. Now, using this information, when you get an equation with a times b, what are the solutions we can get? A times b is equal to 0. Like this, 2 times x is 0. A is 2, b is x and this is 0. So what are the solutions you are getting? You get 0 as either A or sometimes other way around. This is 0 and this is another term. So minus 3 times 0, again you are getting 0. So you get either b equals 0 or both. 0 times 0 also you get 0. So here, how can we write down this one as a single solution? What are the possible solutions when you have something like this? It can be either a equals 0, b equals 0 or both can be 0. So when you get something like this, you can write either a equals 0 or b equals 0. So this is really important when you are solving quadratic equations. When you get two expressions, a and b is equal to 0, you can straight away write either a equals 0 or b equals 0. So remember that when you are solving expressions like this in quadratic equations. Now we'll take these examples. This is a product like before, a and b. Product is equal to 0. So what's the conclusion? When the product is 0, either a can be 0 or the other expression can be 0. So when this happens, what's the x value? Take minus 2 to the other side, you get 2. So what are the solutions? Either x is 0 or x equals 2. So we call these are roots of the solution, roots of the equation or solutions of the equation. So x is 0 or x equals 2. Look at the next one. 3x into x plus 4 is 0. This is like A and this is like B. When the product is 0, either A is 0 or B is 0. Equate it. 3x equals 0 or x plus 4 equals 0. So what is the x value? 0 divided by 3 is 0. This one, when you take 4 to the other side, you get minus 4. So the solution or roots of the equation are x equals 0 or x equals minus 4. Look at this one. Two expressions given. So this is like A, this is like B. Product is 0. That means you can straight away write x plus 7 equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0. So what's the answer? X equals minus 7 or x equals 5. This one again, same method. Product is 0. We can write this one is 0 or the other expression is 0. When you take it to the other side, what's x? Take 1 to the other side, 1. And then divide by 2, you get the x value. Here also take minus 2 to the other side, you get 2. Divide by 3, you get the x value. So in these equations, you get two solutions. Now we'll take this one. You are asked to solve these quadratic expressions. Now this is not factorized form. So the first step is to factorize the quadratic equation. So you get the square term, x term and the constant. What's the easiest way to factorize? You put two brackets and you are getting x squared. How you get x squared? X and x. And look at the constant 2. How you get 2? But when you add the factors, you need to get plus 3. So what are the factors? 2 times 1. 2 plus 1, 3. So the factors are plus 2 and plus 1. Now again, product is 0. You can equate it to 0. X plus 2 equals 0 or x plus 1 equals 0. So the x is, take 2 to the other side, you get minus 2. Here you get minus 1. So what are the two solutions? Minus 2 and minus 1. Now look at this one. Same as before. You need to factorize the quadratic expression. How you get x squared? X and x. What are the factors of 12? You get lot of factors. 6 into 2, 4 into 3, 12 into 1. But you need to identify the proper factors. When you add the factors, you need to get minus 7. So when you take 4 and 3, you get 7. But this is positive. Plus 12 means you need to either take positive into positive or negative into negative. So here the middle term is negative, means both should be negative. So negative 4 times negative 3, you get negative plus 12. And when you add these two, you are getting negative 7. So what are the correct factors? Minus 4 and minus 3. And then the product is 0, means you can equate to 0 here, or this one 0. So what's the answer? X equals 4 or x equals 3. This one. Now factorize straight away. Factorize and equate to 0. X and x for x squared. Factors of 12. Minus 12. What are the factors of minus 12 to get plus 4? Think about it. 4 and 3, you are not getting. 6 and 2, you are getting 4. So the factors are 6 and 2. Now decide the sign. Middle term is plus. So that means the biggest number should be plus and the other one should be negative. So when you equate to 0, you get x plus 6 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. Take it to the other side and write x is minus 6 or x equals 2. Now look at this one. What's the difference? Now you get a coefficient in x squared term. How can we factorize? We can use two methods. One is cross multiplication or trial and error. We'll do both ways, or the cross method. If you are using the normal factorization method, how you get 2x squared? That should be 2x and x. When you multiply, you get 2x squared. Now decide how you get 14. 14 is 7 and 2. What else? 14 times 1. If we put 7 here and 7 times 2 here, when you multiply, what you get? 2 times 2, 4. 4 plus 7. You are getting 4 plus 7, 11. If you switch the other way around, you are not getting 11. Look at this one. 2 times 7, 14. 14 and 2. You are not getting 11. So here correct order is 7 and 2. Then you have to decide the sign. Both terms should be positive or negative to get plus 14. But now we know the middle term is negative. So this should be negative. So 2x squared minus 4x minus 7x plus 14. So you are getting the previous equation. Now what's the solution? 2x minus 7 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. You can find out x. That's 7 over 2 or x equals 2. Now if you are using the cross multiplication, how you do? Factors of 2x squared. You write here 2x and x. And factors of 14, 7 and 2. But the middle term is negative, means negative values. So I'll write 7 and 2 here. 2 times 2, negative 4, and this one negative 7. You are getting the correct value in the middle. So that means the factors are 2x minus 7 and x minus 2. So you can use either this method or the cross multiplication method to find out the factors. Now take this one. You need to factorize. So I'll use the cross method. 3x squared. How can I get 3x squared? 3x and x. What are the factors of 10? 10 times 1, 5 times 2. If I put 10 and 1 here, what's the answer? 30 and 1. You're not getting. So I'll switch the places. I'll write 10 here and 1 here. 3 and 10. You get 13. So that means those are not the correct factors. What's the other one? 5 and 2. So I'll put 5 and 2 here. 5, 2. 5 plus 6. You are getting 11. So that means correct factors are minus 5 and minus 2. So we write the factors this way, horizontally. What are the factors? 3x minus 5 and x minus 2. Now when you multiply, check whether you are getting the same answer. 3x squared minus 6x minus 5x plus 10. You are getting the previous equation. The product is 0 means either this is 0 or this one is 0. So what's the answer? X equals 5 over 3 or x equals 2. Now look at this question. X squared minus 9 equals 0. How can we factorize? Can you remember difference between two square terms? When you have 2 squared with a minus sign, you can straight away write down the factors as 1 is positive and 1 is negative. Now you have two factors. The product is 0. That means this is 0 or this one is 0. So x becomes minus 3 or x equals plus 3. Example 1 in your textbook. Find the roots of the quadratic equation. So roots means solutions. We'll use the factorization method. What are the factors of this equation, quadratic equation? X and x for x squared, 6, 3 and 2 or 6 and 1. But plus 6 means you need to multiply both negative values or positive values. So when you add 3 and 2, you are getting 5. So both should be negative to get minus 5. Then factors is equal to 0 means either x equals 3. How did I write at once? If you can't write at once, you write separately. X minus 3 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. Then we can write x equals 3 or x equals 2. Here always you get the opposite sign. If x minus 3 is there, the solution is x equals 3. If x minus 2 is there, the solution is plus 2. Example 2. Find the roots of this. 2x squared plus 3x minus 9 equals 0. How can we factorize? Use cross method. Cross method, how you do? Factors of 2x squared, 2x and x. Factors of minus 9, 3 and 3 or 9 times 1. I'll put 3 and 3 and see. 3 times 2, 6, 3 times 2, 6 and 3. You can get 3. But which one should be positive? This one should be positive and this one should be negative because 6x minus 3x becomes 3x. Then what are the factors? Factors are 2x minus 3 and x plus 3. So product is 0 means either this is 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. X becomes 3 over 2 or minus 3. Example 3. Now you get fractions. So you need to find out the lowest common multiple. So what's the lowest common multiple of 2x minus 1 and this? That's the product of this. Then that means you have to multiply the first value by 3x plus 2 and the second value by 2x minus 1. That's equal to 1. Now cross multiply. Cross multiply these two, and before that simplify the numerator. Expand brackets and simplify. 3 times 3 9x, 3 times 2 6, minus 2 times 2 4x, minus 2 times minus 1 is plus 2 over 2x minus 1, 3x plus 2. Now when you cross multiply, you get this part first. 9x minus 4x is 5x. 6 plus 2, 8. That's equal to 2x minus 1 into 3x plus 2 is equal to 1. When you do cross multiplication, you need to use the rainbow method or FOIL method. FOIL means first with first, O, first with FOIL, first with first, outside with outside, inside with inside, and last with last. So when you cross multiply, I can write 5x plus 8 is equal to 2x into 3x, 6x squared, 2x into 2x, 4x, 3x into minus 1, minus 3x, minus 1 into plus 2, minus 2. Now take all terms to one side. I get 6x squared. 4x minus 3x is x. And when you take 5x to the other side, x minus 5x is minus 4x. Minus 2 minus 8, you get minus 10. This side is equal to 0. I can divide the whole equation by 2. So I'm getting 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now you get a quadratic equation and you need to factorize it. Now check how can we factorize. What are the factors of 3x squared? I'll use cross method. Factors of 3x squared, 3x and x. Factors of 5, minus 5, 5 times 1. The middle term is minus 2. Think about where we put 5 and 1. If I put 5 here, you get 15 and 1. So you are not getting 2. So I'll put 5 here and 1 here. Middle term is minus means the bigger number should be minus. So this term should be minus, this term should be plus. Now cross multiply and see, minus 5x plus 3x, you get minus 2x. So what are the factors? Factors are 3x minus 5 and x plus 1. So this is equal to 0. That means what are the roots or solutions? 3x minus 5 is 0 or x plus 1 equals 0. So x is 5 over 3 or x equals minus 1. Example number 4. The product of two consecutive integers is 12. Find the two numbers. So what is consecutive means? Consecutive means next to each other. If it's like, for example, 1 and 2, always the difference is 1. 4 and 5, difference is 1. If we take one number as x, what is the next number? X plus 1. So that's how you identify consecutive integers. If one is x, the next number is x plus 1. The product of two consecutive numbers, integers, is equal to 12. So this is what we can write. X into x plus 1 is 12. Find the two numbers. Expand brackets, x squared plus x, and take 12 to the other side. Minus 12 is equal to 0. Factorize and find out the solutions. Factors of x squared, x and x. Minus 12. What are the factors of minus 12? And the middle term is plus 1. 4 and 3. This is plus, so the bigger number is plus, the other number is negative. Product is 0. You can write either this is 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. So what's the answer? X equals minus 4 or x equals. Now the product is 12 means if one solution is 3, what's the next number? This should be 4. Consecutive numbers 3 and 4. If you consider negative numbers to get 12, negative 4 and what's the other number? Negative 3. Negative 4 times negative 3, also you get 12. So these are the integers you can get. 3 or 4 or minus 4 and minus 3. Example number 5. The area of a rectangle plot of a land is 150 square meters. So this is a rectangle land. Area is 150 square meters. The length of the plot is 5 meters more than the width. Let x be the width. X is the width. Then what's the length? 5 more than that. So I can write length as x plus 5. Write the length of the plot in terms of x. That's this. X plus 5. Second one, set up a quadratic equation in x to represent the area of the plot. So what's the area? Area is length into width. X into x plus 5 and it's given as 150. So that's the quadratic equation. You can expand brackets and write down separately. X into x, x squared, x into 5, 5x is equal to 150. When you take it to the other side, you get minus 150 equals 0. That's the quadratic equation. And then the third step, it says solve and find out the length and width. This is quadratic equation. Try to factorize. What are the factors of 150 to get 5? So here x and x is there. Okay, now look at 150 and see what are the factors of 150. When you add the factors, you should get 5. So 10 and 15. Which one is minus? Minus should be the smaller one. So minus 15 and minus 10 and plus 15. You can use those factors to get minus 150. Product is 0. You can equate to 0 separately. Either this is 0 or the other factor is 0. So what's the answer? X can be minus 15 or x can be plus 10. Now this is about a width and a length. X cannot be negative. So we can ignore this answer. So x is 10. That's 10 centimeters. How can we find out the length now? So length is x plus 5. So 10 plus 5 is 15 centimeters. Not centimeters, 15 meters. And width is 10 meters. Exercise 13.2. Solve the following quadratic equations. Already factors are given. Straight away you can write either this is 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Then when you take 5 to the other side, you get minus 5. This one you can equate 3/4 x is 0 or x plus 1 equals 0. When you multiply by 4 and divide by 3, you get x equals 0. Here you get x equals minus 1. This one product is 0. You can straight away write down this factor is 0 or this one is 0. So what's the x value? Take minus 4 to the other side, 4, or take 3 to the other side, minus 3. This one not factorize. So first thing is to factorize. What's the common term? X. Take it out. Remaining part is x minus 2. Now the product is 0. You can equate to 0. Either x is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. You can write x equals 2. This one multiplied by 2. X squared is equal to 6x. Now take it to other side. Minus 6x is 0. Factorize. X minus 6 is 0. 2 factors is equal to 0. You can straight away write down either x equals 0 or x equals 6. This one factorize first. What are the factors of 12 to get 7? Here x and x to get x squared, 4 and 3. Middle term is positive, so you get pluses. Factors are equal to 0, so you can write x plus 4 is 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. So what are the solutions? You can write x equals minus 4 or x equals minus 3. This one, you need to open brackets and then take all terms to one side. So use FOIL method. First with first, 2x squared. Outside numbers, 3x. Inside numbers, 4x. And last with last, minus 2 times 3, minus 6. That's equal to x squared plus 2x plus 4. Now take all terms to one side. 2x squared minus x squared, you get x squared. 3x minus 4x, you get minus x. Minus x and minus 2x, you get minus 3x. Minus 6 and minus 4, you get minus 10. Now you need to factorize. Factors of this, x and x, factors of 10 is 5 and 2. The middle term is negative, means negative 5 and positive 2. So the factors are 0, means either this is 0 or x plus 2 is 0, x becomes 5 or x becomes minus 2. This one, you need to find out the lowest common multiple. Find out the lowest common multiple, x and x plus 1. That means we need to multiply this by x plus 1 and this by x. Now simplify. 4x plus 4 plus 3x over x into x plus 1 equals 3. You get 7x plus 4 over x into x plus 1 equals 3. We can write 3 over 1. Now, do cross multiplication. When you cross multiply, what you get? 7x plus 4 is equal to 3 times x into x, 3x squared. 3 times x, you get 3x. Now take all terms to one side. 3x squared, 3x minus 7x, you get minus 4x. 4, when you take it to the other side, that's 4, minus 4. Now try to factorize. What are the factors of this? Use cross method. Cross method is easy. Factors of 3x squared, 3x and x. Factors of 4, either 4 or 1, 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. So if we take 4 and 1, what happens? 12 and 1, it's too big. If I write 4 here and 1 here, I get 7 something, 4 and 3. So those are not the correct factors. So 2 and 2. We'll try 2 and 2. 3 times 2, 6, 6 and 2, you get 4. So which one is negative? 6x should be negative. So negative 2 and plus 2. The factors are 3x plus 2 and x minus 2. Product is 0. That means either this is 0 or x minus 2 equals 0. So what's the solution? Take 2 to the other side. Minus 2 over 3 or x equals 2. Again, find the lowest common multiple. X minus 1 and x plus 1. That means 2 multiplied by x plus 1, 3 multiplied by x minus 1. Now simplify the numerator. 2x and 3x becomes 5x. 2 and this minus 3, you get minus 1. Over. Difference between two squared terms. Straight away I can write x squared minus 1. X minus 1 and x plus 1 are the factors. That's equal to 1. I can write 1 over 1 and use cross multiplication. 1 times 5x minus 1 is 5x minus 1. This into this becomes x squared minus 1. Now, when you take all terms to one side, this minus 1 get cancelled out and I get x squared minus 5x is 0. When you factorize, you get x and x minus 5. When you equate to 0, what are the solutions? X equals 0 or x minus 5 is 0. That means x equals 5. So the answers are 5 and 0. This one, difference between two squared terms. What are the solutions? X minus 2 and x plus 2. Product is 0 means either x equals 2 or x equals minus 2. I'll write down the steps. X minus 2 is 0 or x plus 2 is 0. That means x equals 2 or x equals minus 2. Solve the quadratic equations given below by factoring and take root 2 as this. So that means the solutions you are getting are not integers, whole numbers. So you will get decimal solutions for these questions. So how we find out the answer? So we can do without factorizing because we can't find out the factors of 12. This is not a square term. So what we do, we can take it to the other side. X squared is equal to 12. Then what is x? Square root of 12. plus or minus square root of 12. How can we write down square root of 12? I can write 12 as 4 times 3. And when you take square root of 4 times square root of 3. Square root of 4 is 2. So I can write 2 root 3 plus or minus 2 root 3 instead of 12. So now I can take root 3 value. It's given 1.73. That means take 1.73 and multiply by 2. So what's the answer? 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 7 14, 1 remaining, 2 times 1 2 plus 1 3. 3.46. This can be either plus or minus. This one, take 21 to the other side. When you take 21 plus 11, what's the answer? You get 32. So what's the x value? Square root of 32. That can be plus or minus. 32. How can I write 32 using a square number? What's the maximum square number I can write for 32? 16 times 2. When you take square root, that means 4 and root 2. So 4 root 2 you are getting. So plus or minus 4 root 2. What's the answer for root 2? Root 2 is 1.41. So what's the answer? Plus or minus 4 times 1 4. 4 times 4 16. 1 remaining. 4 times 1 4 plus 1 5. The answer is plus or minus 5.64. The next one, take 17 to the other side. X squared is 37 minus 17. You get 20. What's the x value? Square root of 20. This should be plus or minus. How can we write 20 as a square number? 4 times 5. When you take square root both sides, you get 2 root 5. I can write instead of square root 20 as 2 root 5. That means take the root 5 value, 2.23 multiplied by 2. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 4, 2 times 2 4, plus or minus 4.46. Third one, from the square of a certain number, if you subtract twice the number, the result is 15. Find the number. So that means you have to take the number as x. If you take the number as x, how can we write down the equation? If you, from the square of a certain number, that means x squared. If you subtract twice the number 2x, the result is 15. Then you can take all terms to one side and factorize. What are the factors of 15? Minus 15 to get minus 2. X and x, you get 5 and 3. Middle term is negative, means you are getting negative 5 and positive 3. So what are the solutions? X minus 5 is 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. So you get x equals 5 or x equals minus 3. So what are the numbers? You can take either minus 3 or 5. The product of the two consecutive even integers is 120. Find the two integers. Now what are even numbers? 2, 4, 6 like that. What's the difference between the even numbers? You need to add 2. So if one number is x, what's the other even number? X plus 2. You need to add 2 to that. And it says the product of two even numbers is equal to 120. Now, this is an expression, quadratic equation. You can solve it and find out x. When you multiply, you get x squared plus 2x and minus 120 is equal to 0. What are the factors of 120 to get 2x? 12 and 10. So you get 12 and 10. Which one is positive? Plus 12 and minus 10, you get plus 2. What are the solutions? This is 0 or this is 0. X can be negative 12 or x can be positive 10. It says even integers. So this is also even number, this is also even number. So you can get either 10 and 12 because 10 is one number, the next number is x plus 2, 12. To get 120 or minus 12 and 12 minus 2 minus 10. This also you can get 120. Question number 5. The length of a rectangular lamina is 3 cm more than the width. If the area is 88, find the length and the width of the lamina. This is about a rectangle. We'll take x as width. Then the length is 3 cm more than the width. This should be x plus 3. Now we know length and width. The area is 88. How can we find out the area? Length into breadth or width is equal to the area. That's 88. Expand brackets and take all terms to one side. X squared plus 3x minus 88 is equal to 0. Now try to factorize. X and x. Factors of 88 to get 3. So if you can't figure out at once, we can divide and see. Divide by 2, divide by 2 and 11. These are the factors. We need 3. 2 times 2 times 2, 8. 8 and 11, you are getting 3. So the factors are 11 and 8. The middle term should be plus. So that means bigger number should be positive. Now the product is 0, means this is 0 or x minus 8 equals 0. So what's the answer? When you take 11 to the other side, minus 11 or plus 8. This is about width and length. Cannot be negative. So ignore this. So if x is 8, that means if width is 8 centimeters, what's the length? Length is equal to 8 plus 3, 11 centimeters. Sixth question. A playing field measuring 32 meters by 20 meters has a pathway outside the field all around it of uniform width. The area of the pathway is 285 square meters. Taking the width of the pathway is to be x meters. Set up a quadratic equation in x to represent the given information. Solve the quadratic equation to find out the width of the pathway. So think about, this is the field, 32 by 20, and there's a pathway around. And the width of the pathway they are asking us to take as x. So this is x, this is also x. And the area of the pathway is 285. That means this is the pathway. Area of the pathway is 285. So we need to find out the area of the shaded part first and equate to 285. So if this is 32 and this is x and this is x, so what is the length of the whole rectangle, the bigger one? 32 plus 2x. 32 x and x. What about the width? 20 is there, x and x. 20 plus 2x. How can we find out the area of the shaded part? The bigger area. 32 plus 2x into 20 plus 2x. Subtract the field area. 32 times 20, that's equal to 285. That's the equation. Now we need to solve this equation and find out x. So first thing, you can expand brackets. (32 times 20), you get 640. 32 times 2x, 64x. 2 times 20x, you get 40x. 2x into 2x, 4x squared. And 20 times 32, you get 640. Now, take all terms to one side and simplify. You get 4x squared. 6440. When you add, you are getting 104x. Now, the constant terms. 640 here as well as here. It get cancelled out and take 285 to this side. Minus 285 is equal to 0. Now we need to factorize this. Now look at the factors and see. What are the factors of 4x squared? Either 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. What are the factors of 285? 15 times 19, of when you multiply these two, you get 57 with 5. So we'll try 57 and 5. And 4 and 1. Do we get 104? 4 times 57, we are getting more than 104. So that means we can use 2 and 2. Now see whether it's close to 104. 2 times 7, 14, 1 remaining. 2 times 5, 10 plus 1, 114 and 10. We are getting 104. So that means which one is negative? You need plus 104. This means this should be plus and this should be negative. So what are the factors? Factors of this: 2x minus 5 and 2x plus 57 is equal to 0. Product is 0 means you can write 2x equals 5, x equals 5 over 2, or x equals minus 57 over 2. X is the width of the path, cannot be negative. So what's the width of the path? 5 over 2, or you can write 2.5. What's the unit? This is in meters. So the width of the path is 2.5 meters. Seventh one, the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle is 2x plus 1. The length of the other two sides are x and x plus 7. Solve for x and find the length of all three sides of the triangle. So you can apply Pythagoras theorem. Hypotenuse squared is equal to sum of square terms of the other sides. Now expand brackets and simplify. 2x squared is 4x squared. Middle term you are getting double of this. You get 4x and 1 into 1 you get 1. Here when you expand this you get x squared term, double of the two middle numbers, 14x, and 7 times 7, 49. Now take all terms to one side. 4x squared minus 2x squared. You get 2x squared. 4x minus 14x minus 10x. 1 minus 49, you get minus 48. When you divide the whole equation by 2, you get x squared minus 5x minus 24 is equal to 0. What are the factors of minus 24? When you add the factors, you are getting minus 5. 8 and 3. So the factors are 8 and 3. Middle is negative, so negative 8 and plus 3. So when you equate to 0, x minus 8 is 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. X is 8 or x is minus 3. This is about a length. X cannot be negative. So take x as 8. So what are the lengths? One length is 8. The other length is x plus 7. 8 plus 7, 15. What about the third side? 2 times 8, 16. 16 plus 1, 17. So here 8 centimeters, 15 centimeters and 17 centimeters for the three sides. Question number 8. The sum of the first n terms of the arithmetic progression minus 7, minus 5, minus 3, minus 1 is 105. Use your knowledge on progressions to answer the following. Can you remember about arithmetic progression? You get a constant difference and first term is minus 7. So A is minus 7, first term. What's the difference? Difference is the difference between the two consecutive numbers. I can take minus 5 minus minus 7. So plus 7 minus 5, you get difference is 2. Adding 2 each time. So what's the sum formula? Sum of arithmetic progression. Can you remember? Sn equals n over 2, 2a plus n minus 1d. That's the sum formula for arithmetic progression. Now we need to plug the values. The sum is not given, but first term is given. So n over 2. First term is minus 7. Minus 7 times 2, you get minus 14. And d is 2. When you plug 2 here, 2 times n, 2n, 2 times minus 1, minus 2. Then simplify. N over 2 is 2n minus 16. So that's the formula for sum. Solve the above equation to find the number of terms n you added. And the sum is given 105. So that means Sn is given 105. So 105 equals n over 2 to n minus 16. Now try to simplify. I see 2 is common. Take it out. Then you get n minus 8. 2 get cancelled out. Now expand brackets. You get n squared minus 8n. And when you take 105 to the other side, you get minus 105. That's equal to 0. Now factorize. What are the factors of 105 to get minus 810? We can see what are the factors first. 5, 21, 3 with 7. These are the factors. So here we need to get 8. 15 and 7, you are getting 8. So the factors are 15 and 7. The middle term is negative, means negative 15 and plus 7. So what are the factors? N minus 15 and n plus 7. The product is 0, means n minus 15 is 0, or n plus 7 is equal to 0. So what are the solutions? N equals 15 or n equals minus 7. But we know this is about arithmetic progression. So n is number of terms. Number of terms cannot be negative. So what is n? N equals 15. Solve the above equation to find the number of terms n you have added. So n value is 15. Now we'll look at how we can solve quadratic equations by completing the square method. Now before that, we'll see how can we make a square term. Earlier we did expanding brackets. Now take x plus 3 square term. When you expand this expression, what did you get? Square term of this, double of the middle term. 2 times 3x, you get 6x. And square of this becomes 9. Now look carefully how we can get 6. That means double of this value. If this is given, you divide it by 2 to get this value. How you get the last number? You square it to get 9. And also how we get from the middle term? You divide it by 2, you get 3 squared. So what's the relationship between 6 and 9? Take the coefficient with the sign, divide it by 2 and square it. You are getting the last constant. So when you get this constant, you can make a square term. Now observe that pattern and try to fill the blanks to get a square term. Now here when you divide 6 by 2, you get 3. 3 squared is 9. That means you can straight away write down this is x plus 3 squared. Now try to make a square term. What you need to get here? Divide this by 2. 8 divide by 2, you get 4. 4 squared, you are getting 16. So I'll write down the steps. 8 plus 8 divide by 2. And you get plus 4. Square it. You get 16. Then how can we make the square term? You get x plus What's the term you are getting? Square root of this number. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16, you get 4. So this becomes x plus 4 squared. Now this one, what should be the constant term to get a square term here? Take the value minus 14, divide by 2. You get minus 7. When you square minus 7, you get 49. So this should be 49 to get a square term. So what's the square term here? X is there. Square root of 49 is 7. What's the sign? Middle term is minus. So this is minus 7. So x minus 7 whole thing squared. How can we write this one as a square term? Take the number plus 3, divide by 2, 3 over 2. When you square it, what you get? 3 times 3, 9, 2 times 2, 4. 9 over 4 you need to add to get a square term. So what's the square term you are getting when you add 9 over 4 to that? X plus square root of this. Square root of this is 3 over 2, or the number you are getting here. 3 over 2 squared. So now if you are using the completing square method, you need to know how to make a square term. We'll use this method to solve quadratic equations. Now again, this expression given, you are asked to fill the blanks. What should be the number? Divide by 2. 8 divided by 2, you get 4. That number comes here. 4 squared is 16. This one, b squared is there. B squared is there means this should be b, square root of b squared. Then what is the middle term? 2 times bx, double of this one. This one, what's the double of this one? 2mx. That's the x term. Now we'll look at how we can solve this quadratic equation using completing the square method. Now we need to make a square term. What's the procedure? Take the coefficient of x, that's plus 2, divided by 2, you get 1, and when you square it, 1 squared is 1. So that means to make a square term, you need to add 1 to both sides. Now we know what's the square term here? Square root of x squared and square root of 1. X plus 1 squared. 35 plus 1, 36. Now to solve the quadratic equation, you take square root both sides. When you take the square root of x plus 1 squared and 36 square root. So what is 36 square root? You get plus or minus 6. What's the square term and the square root? It get cancelled out and you get x plus 1. So what's the answer? X becomes minus 1 plus or minus 6. You get two solutions. X can be minus 1 plus 6, or x can be minus 1 minus 6. 6 minus 1 you get 5. Minus 6 minus 1 you get minus 7. So in this quadratic equations, what are the solutions? 5 and minus 7. This one, you need to use completing the square method to solve the equation. So before that, we'll take minus 20 to other side. It becomes plus 20. we need to get a square term. What's the method? Take the coefficient of x, divide by 2. You get minus 4. Square it. When you square minus 4, you get 16. That means we need to add 16 to this equation. In order to get no difference, you add 16 to the other side as well. But we know this is a square term, that's x, and 4, the middle term is minus, because you get minus 8x. 20 plus 16, 36. Now take square root both sides. X minus 4 is equal to plus or minus square root of 36 is 6. So what are the solutions? X is equal to 4 plus or minus 6. X can be plus 4 plus 6, or x can be plus 4 minus 6. So plus 4 plus 6 you get 10. 4 minus 6 you get minus 2. So this is how we solve quadratic equations using the completing the square method. Now we'll take this one. What's the first step? Take this constant term to the other side. Now we need to find out the adding term. Take the middle term, divide it by 2. You get minus 6. Square it. Minus 6 squared is 36. That means we need to add 36 to both sides. Then you get the square term as m. Square root of 36 is 6. And the middle term is minus, means m minus 6 squared. 28 plus 36, you get 64. Take square roots both sides, you get m minus 6 is equal to square root of 64 is plus or minus 8. So what's m? 6 plus or minus 8. M can be 6 plus 8, or m can be 6 minus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. 6 minus 8 is minus 2. Now we'll take example number 1. Solve this equation by completing the square method. Take the equation, and I can write minus 3 on the other side as plus 3. Now we need to find out the adding constant. Take the x term, coefficient of x, divide by 2 and square it. You get 1. That means you have to add 1 to both sides. Then what you get here? You get x plus 1 whole thing squared. Square root of this and square root of this. The middle sign is depend on this term. 3 plus 1, you get 4. Take square root both sides. When you take square root, you get x plus 1. Square root of 4 plus or minus 2. So what's the answer? You get minus 1 plus or minus 2. X can be minus 1 plus 2, or minus 1 minus 2. So 2 minus 1, you get 1. Minus 1 minus 2, you get minus 3. Example number 2. Solve by using the completing the square method. So first I can rewrite this as taking 1 to the other side. So minus 1. Take the middle term, coefficient, divide it by 2. You get minus 2. Square it. Minus 2 times minus 2, you get plus. So you need to add plus 4 to both sides. So what's the square root number? Square number x and 2. This should be minus. So when you square it, you are getting the previous expression. Now 4 minus 1 is 3. Now take square root both sides. X minus 2 is plus or minus square root of 3. You can write in surd form. So what's the x value? Take minus 2 to the other side. 2 plus or minus root 3. So you can write the answer separately. X can be 2 plus root 3, or what's the other number? 2 minus root 3. If you know the root 3 value, you can substitute here. Now if you want to find out the decimal answer, what we do? We can substitute the root 3 value. What's the root 3 value? 1.73. So I can substitute as 2 plus 1.73 or 2 minus 1.73. So when you add these two together, I get 3.73, or when you subtract, what you get? 7 plus 3, 10, 1 remaining, 8, and then 2 for 10 and 1 remaining. So 0.27 or 3.73. Example number 3. Find the roots of 2x squared plus 6x minus 5 equals 0. Now what happens? First we need to take the constant term to the other side. So you get plus 5. Then can we do with this too? 2x squared now. Earlier we did using x squared. So that method only for x squared term. So how can we get rid of this 2? Divide the whole equation by 2. So when you divide, you get x squared. 6 divided by 2, 3x. And 5 divided by 2, 5 over 2. Now you can make a square term. So what's the middle term? Plus 3 divided by 2, you get 3 over 2. When you square it, you get 9 over 4. That means we need to add 9 over 4 to both sides to make a square term. So what's the square term here? X plus 3 over 2 whole thing square. This side, make the common denominator 4. 2 times 5, 10. 10 plus 9, 19. Now take square root both sides. You get x plus 3 over 2 is equal to square root of this. I can write square root of 19 and square root of 4 becomes 2. This is plus or minus. So what's the x value? X is equal to minus 3 over 2 plus or minus root 19 over 2, or I can write this one as minus 3 plus root 19 divided by 2, or x is equal to minus 3 minus root 19 over 2. If you know the square root of 19, you can plug the value and find out the decimal answer. Exercise 13.3. Solve the following quadratic equations by completing the square, and you have given the square root values. So sometimes you will get decimal answers. Look at this one. X squared minus 2x. Take minus 4 to the other side. That's plus 4. Find the term we need to add. Take the middle term, divide by 2. You get minus 1. Minus 1 square it. You get plus 1. So that means you have to add plus 1 to both sides. Then this becomes x minus 1 whole thing squared. 4 plus 1 is 5. Take square root both sides. X minus 1 is equal to plus or minus square root 5. So what is x? 1 plus or minus root 5. We know that x root 5 is 2.23. 1 plus or minus 2.23. So what are the solutions? 1 plus 2.23, you get 3.23. Then 1 minus 2.23 is minus 1.23. So what are the two solutions? 3.23 or minus 1.23. Second one, x squared plus 8x. Take 2 to the other side, that becomes plus 2. Take the middle term, divide by 2. You get 4. Square it, you get 16. So that's the number we need to add. Add it to other side as well. What's the square term? X plus 4 whole thing squared. 16 plus 2, 18. Now take square root both sides. X plus 4 is equal to square root of 18. 18, how can we write as a square number? 18 is 9 times 2. When you take square root both sides, you get 3 root 2. I can rewrite this as x plus 4 is equal to plus or minus 3 root 2. So what is x value? Minus 4 plus or minus 3 root 2. Minus 4 times plus or minus 3 root 2. Root 2 is 1.41. So what's the answer? Minus 4 plus or minus 3 times 1, 3, 3 times 4, 12, 1 remaining. 3 times 1, 3 plus 1, 4. Now we'll take negative 1, negative 4, negative 4.23, negative 8.23. What's the other solution? Negative 4 plus 4.23, you get positive 0.23. Next one, x squared minus 6x equals 4. What's the number we need to add? Take the coefficient of x, divide by 2 and square it. When you square it, you get 9. Add 9 to both sides. What's the square number you are getting? X minus 3 whole thing square. 9 plus 4, 13. Now take square root both sides. X minus 3 is equal to plus or minus root 13. So x equals plus or minus root 13 plus 3. So what are the solutions? So square root of 13 is 3.6. When you take the positive value, that becomes 6.6. When you take the negative value, you get negative 3.6 plus 3, you get negative 0.6. This one, take the quadratic equation, take the constant term to the other side, consider the middle term. 4 divided by 2 and square it. You get 4. You need to add 4 to get a square term. What's the square term you are getting? X plus 2 squared. 8 plus 4, 12. Take the square root. Plus or minus square root of 12. 12, how can you write as a square term? 4 times 3. When you take the square root, you get 2 root 3. So x plus 2, when you take the square root of 12, I can write plus or minus 2 root 3. Now what is x value? Take 2 to the other side. Minus 2 plus or minus 2 root 3. minus 2 plus or minus 2 times root 3. Root 3 is 1.73. So minus 2 plus or minus 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 7 14, 1 remaining, 2 times 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3.46. When you take the negative positive value, x is minus 2 plus 3.46, you get 1.46. When you take negative value, negative 2 and negative 3.46, you get negative 5.46. Look at this one. You have to first make the quadratic equation. Expand brackets, x squared plus 8x equals 8. Now we need to add the constant term. Take the middle term, divide by 2. You get plus 4, square it, you get 16. So add 16 to both sides. What's the square term? You get x plus 4, whole thing squared here. 8 plus 16, 24. Take the square root. X plus 4 is plus or minus square root 24. 24, what's the square number? You can write as 6 times 4. When you take the square root, you get 2 root 6. Root 6 value is given. So here plus or minus 2 root 6. So x is minus 4 plus or minus 2 root 6. That means 2 times root 6 is 2.44. So what's the x value? Minus 4 multiplied by 2. 2 times 4. Plus or minus. When you take plus value, you get 0.88. When you take the negative value, you get negative 8.88. This one. Look at the middle term, you are getting 1. Divide by 2, you get half. Square it, you get 1/4. That means you need to add 1/4 to make a square term. Then what's the square term? You get x plus half whole thing squared. Now make it to the same denominator. You get 4 is the common denominator. 16 plus 1, 17. Now take square root both sides. X plus half is equal to plus or minus square root 17 over 2, because square root of 4 is 2. Then what's x? X is minus half plus or minus root 17 over 2. What is root 17? 4.12. Minus half I can write as 0.5. Plus or minus root 17 is 4.12. Divide by 2. You get 2.06. So take the minus value. When you take minus value, minus 0.5 and minus 2.06, you get minus 2.56. When you take the positive value, 2.06 minus 0.5, what you get? 1.56 as the answer. Take this one. 2x squared plus 5x plus 4. That means you can't do it at once. So you have to divide the whole equation by 2. So I can write x squared plus 5 over 2x equals 4 divided by 2, 2. Now I can make a square term. Take the middle term, divide by 2. That means multiply by half. You get 5/4. Square it. 25/16. So that means you have to add 25/16 to both sides. What's the square term you are getting? X plus 5/4 whole thing square is equal to, what's the common denominator? 16. 16 times 2, 32 plus 25. You get 57. So when you take the square root, both sides, x plus 5/4 is equal to plus or minus square root of 57/4. 57 is what? When you divide by 3, you get 19 and 3. So do we know 19? We have root 57 value. So straight away you can plug that value. 7.54. So x is equal to minus 5/4 plus or minus root 57/4. Substitute the value. So 4 is the common denominator. Minus 5 plus or minus 7.54. When you take the positive value, you get 2.54 divided by 4. Or when you take the negative value, you get negative 12.54 divided by 4. So what's the answer? Divide by 4, you get 4 times 6, 24. For 14, 4 times 3, 12. For 20, that's 5. 0.635. When you divide this by 4, you get minus 3.1. And for 14, that's 4 times 3, 12. And for 20, that's 5. So minus 3.135 or 0.635. This one, you need to get rid of this 3. And also 3x, you need to take it to this side. So 3x squared minus 3x is half. Divide the whole equation by 3. X squared minus x is, divide by 3 means multiply by 1/3. 1/6. What's the number we have to add? Minus 1 divided by 2 and square it. You get 1/4. So we need to add 1/4 to both sides. Then what's the square term? You get x minus half whole thing squared. 6 and 4, what's the common denominator? 12. 2 and 3. 2 plus 3, you get 5. So what's the square root of that? X minus half is equal to plus or minus root 5/root 12. Root 12 I can write as 4 times 3. Square root is 2√3. So I can rewrite this as, take minus half to the other side. Half plus or minus root 5/2√3. So further simplify this. 2√3 is the common denominator. I can multiply by root 3. So root 3 plus or minus root 5 divide by 2√3. So substitute the values. Root 3 is 1.73. Plus or minus root 5. Root 5 is 2.23. Divide by 2√3. Root 3 is 1.73. 3. So when you add the values, you are getting 33693. Divide by 2 times 3, 6, 2 times 7, 14, 1 remaining, 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, 3. Or what's the other solution you are getting? Subtraction. Minus 2.23 plus 1.73, you are getting 0.5. So minus 0.5 over 3.46. So we need to divide and see what's the answer. So here when you multiply by 10, 100, you get 396 over 346. So roughly what's the value? I'll do it here. 396 divided by 346. That's 1. 50 remaining for 500 also 1. 1540. Now how many 346 for 1540? We can try with 4. 4 times 6, 24, 2 remaining, 4 times 4, 16, plus 2, 18, 1 remaining, 3 times 4 times 3, 12, plus 1, 13. When you subtract, you are getting 156, that's less than 346. So one solution is 1.14. This is an estimate 1.14, and the other answer. So you get 0.5 divided by 346, or you can multiply this by 100. So you get 50 divided by 346. This is nothing. For 500, that's 1. And here, this is like this part. You get 1 again. So when you subtract this, you get 1540. So for 1540, that's 4. So 0.14. So what are the solutions? X equals 1.14 or x equals 0.14. Look at this one. You get fractions. So you need to take the lowest common multiple. So x plus 3, 2x plus 3 is the lowest common multiple. Then we need to multiply this by 2x plus 3 and 1 by x plus 3. This is equal to 1. Expand brackets. 4x plus 6 plus x plus 3 is equal to, you cross multiply this, you get the square term. Expand brackets. X into x, 2x squared. X into 3, 3x. 3 into 2, 6x. 3 into 3, 9. Now when you take all terms to one side, what's the equation you are getting? 2x squared. 3x and 6x, 9x. 9x minus 5x, you get 4x. 1, this is 9. 9 minus 6 plus 3, 9. 9 minus 9, you get 0. So this is the equation you are getting. Then divide whole thing by 2. You get x squared plus 2x equals 0. Factorize. You get x and x plus 2. What are the solutions? You get x equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. So what's the answer for x? X equals minus 2. Now we'll look at how we can solve quadratic equation by quadratic formula. So we'll see what's the quadratic formula is. Now what's the quadratic equation? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term. So we called A, B are coefficients and C is a constant term. Now we'll use this square method to find out the quadratic formula, completing the square method. There's A, so divide whole thing by A. X squared B over A plus C over A equals 0. Take the constant term to the other side. Here x is there. You get minus C over A. Then to make a square term, you need to divide this by 2. That means 2a and square it. You get b squared over 4a squared. So that's the square term we need to add. Now, what's the square term this side? X plus b over 2a whole thing squared. What's this side? 4a squared is the lowest common multiple. You need to multiply by 4a minus 4ac plus b squared, or I can write this as b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now take square root both sides. X plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then what is x value? X is equal to, take this one to the other side, minus b over 2a plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. 2a is common and I can write x as minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is called the quadratic formula. You can straight away apply this formula to find out the solutions. So what is A? A is the coefficient of x squared, B is the coefficient of x term, and C is the constant term. So you need to first identify what are the values of A, B, C and then substitute to the formula. This is called the quadratic formula. Now we'll identify, if you are applying quadratic formula, you need to know what's the A value, B value and C value. If you take this quadratic equation, what's A? The coefficient of x squared. What's the B value? Coefficient of this, that's 7. C value is minus 3, that's the constant term. Now try to identify A, B, C. What's A here? 3. Here B is minus 1. Here nothing means 1. Minus 1. C equals 8. This one, nothing means 1. A equals 1. What is B value? Minus 7. What's the C value? Plus 6. This one, what's A value? 8. What's the B value? Minus 2. What's the C value? Minus 5. So when you want to apply the quadratic formula, first identify what is A, B and C. Example number 1. Solve this equation by using the quadratic formula. So what's the quadratic formula? X equals minus B plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. In this equation, quadratic equation, a is 2, b is 7, c is 3. Now we'll substitute. Minus 7 plus or minus square root b squared. 7 squared is 49 times 4 times a is 2, c is 3 over 2 times a, that's 2 times 2. What's the value? Minus 7. 49 minus 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 3, 24. When you subtract, you get 25. Square root of 25 over 4. What is square root of 25? You get plus or minus 5 there. Now take positive value. Minus 7 plus 5. Minus 7 plus 5 is minus 2 over 4. What's the other solution? Minus 7 and minus 5, minus 12 over 4. So when you simplify, you get 0.5, that's negative, or negative 3 as the solution. Example number 2 again, using quadratic formula and find its roots. Roots are the solutions. Identify A, that's 4, B is negative 7, C is 2. Apply to the formula. X equals minus B plus or minus square root B minus 4AC over 2A. Negative B, negative 7 plus 7. B squared, negative 7 squared is 49. A is 4, C is 2. Divide by 2 times A. 7 plus or minus 49. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 4, 32. When you subtract, you get 17. So square root of 17 over 8. So what are the solutions? X can be 7 plus root 17 over 8, or 7 minus root 17 over 8. Now square root 17 is 4.12. Now substitute that. X equals 7 plus 4.12 divided by 8, or x equals 7 minus 4.12 divided by 8. When you take the positive value, this is 11.12 divided by 8. Roughly 8 times 1, 8. For 31, that's 3, 24. 72, that's 8 times 9. So you get 1.39. This answer, 7 minus 4.12 is 7 minus 4.12. You get 2.88 divided by 8. So what's the answer? 8 times 3, 24. For 48, 8 times 6. So 0.36 and 1.39. Example number 3, solve this by using the quadratic formula and find the roots accurate to the second decimal place. So that means you have to find out correct to 3 decimal place and round it off. What's the A value? A is 1, B value is 2, C value is minus 1. Take the formula and substitute. Minus B plus or minus square root B squared. 2 squared is 4. Minus 4. A is 1. C is minus 1 over 2A. Minus 2 plus or minus. Here minus minus plus 4 plus 4, 8. Root 8 over 2. Root 8 I can write 4 times 2. when you take square root, 2 root 2. So minus 2 plus or minus 2 root 2 divided by 2. Now I can see 2 is common for both these terms. So I can divide by 2. You get minus 1 plus or minus root 2. Now substitute. What's the value? For root 2. Square root of value is we can take correct to 3 decimal places 1.414. So when you add the two numbers, minus 1 plus 1.414 is 0.414. Or when you take the negative value, you get negative 2.414. The answer you need to round it to the second decimal place. So the answer is 0.41 and minus 2.41, correct to 2 decimal places. Exercise 13.4. Solve the following quadratic equations using the quadratic formula and give your answers accurate to the first decimal place. So, using the quadratic formula. So, straight away you can apply the formula. Identify A, B and C. Now, substitute to the formula. Minus B, minus 6, that's 6. Plus or minus B squared minus 6 squared, 36. B squared minus 4, A is 1, C is minus 3 over 2A. Now simplify the inside part. Minus minus becomes plus. 36 plus 12. You get 48. So 48, how can I write? 48 is 4 times 12 or 16 times 3. So when you take the square root, that's 4 root 3. I can write this one as 4 root 3 over 2. 2 is common for both the numbers. Divide by 2. I get 3 plus or minus 2 root 3. Now we'll consider the plus value. You get 3 plus 2 root 3. Root 3 I can take as 1.73. What's the negative number? X is equal to 3 minus 2 times 1.73. So 2 times 1.73 is 3.46. When you add it together, you get 6.46. Here 3 minus 3.46 is equal to minus 0.46. The answer correct to 1 decimal place, answer is 6.5 or minus 0.5, correct to 1 decimal place. Now we need to do the other question as well. Identify A, B, C. A is 1, B equals minus 7 and C equals 5. Apply to the quadratic formula. X is equal to minus 7, that's plus 7, square root B squared, that's 49 minus 4 times A is 1 and C is 5 over 2A. Now simplify inside. 4 times 5, 20. 49 minus 20, you get 29. Square root of 29 over 2. Square root of 29 is 5.38. 7 plus or minus 5.38 and then divide by 2. When you consider the positive answer, you get 12.38 divided by 2. When you consider the negative answer, 7 minus 5.38, you get 1.62 divided by 2. So what's the answer? 6.19 or 0.81. Correct to first decimal place. The answer is 6.2 and 0.8. Now take this question again using the quadratic formula. Solve this equation. Identify A, B and C. Then apply to the formula. X equals minus B minus minus 1 plus or minus B squared is 1 minus 4. A is 2. C is minus 2 over 2A. Inside part, 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 4, 16. Minus minus plus, 16 plus 1, 17. Root 17, 4.12. So 1 plus or minus 4.12 divided by 4. When you take the positive value, you get 5.12 divided by 4. Or when you take the negative value, 1 minus 4.14. 1 minus 4.12. You get 3.12 divided by 4, that's negative. So when you divide by 4, 4 times 1, 4, 11, that's 8, 2, 4 times 2, 8, 32, 4 times 8. Correct to one decimal place, this is 1.3. This one divided by 4, you get 0. For 31, that's 7, 28. 3 remaining. For 32, that's 8. So correct to one decimal place, 0.8 minus 0.8. Part D. Identify A, B and C. Apply to the formula. What's the formula? Minus B, minus minus 5, plus or minus B squared minus 4AC over 2A. Simplify the inside part. 4 times 2, 8. 25 minus 8, you get 17. So 5 plus or minus root 17 over 4. What's the square root of 17? 4.12. 5 plus or minus 4.12 divided by 4. When you take the positive value, you get 9.12 divided by 4. When you take the negative number, you get 5 minus 4.12. That means you are getting 0.88 divided by 4. What's the answer? 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 2, 8. 32. This is 8. So correct to one decimal place, this is 2.3. This one, when you divide, you get 0.22. Correct to one decimal place, the answer is 0.2. This one, identify A, B and C. Now apply the formula. Minus B plus or minus B squared minus 4 squared minus 4AC over 2A. 4 plus or minus 4 times 3, 12. 12 times 7, 84. So you get plus 84. 84 plus 16, you get 100. Square root of 100 is 10. 3 times 2, 6. So when you take the positive answer, 4 plus 10 is 14 divided by 6. Or negative answer, minus 6 divided by 6, you get minus 1. So when you divide this by 6, you get 6 times 2, 12, 2 remaining for 26 times 3, 18, 2 remaining, again 3. So correct to one decimal place, this is 2.3 and the other solution is minus 1. Miscellaneous exercise, question number 1. When 3 times a number which is positive is subtracted from the square of that number, the answer is 28. Find the number. So here you have to take the number as x. When 3 times a number which is positive is subtracted from the square of that number. This number subtract, the answer is 28. Find the number. So take 28 to the other side. You get minus 28 is equal to 0. Now, either you can check using factorization method or you can use quadratic formula. Can we find out the factors? 28. What are the factors of 28? 7 times 4. So you can factorize easily. So you can write factors are 7 and 4. Middle term is minus. So the biggest number is minus. So solutions are 7 or minus 4. This it says 3 times a number which is positive. 3 times negative 4 is negative. So what's the suitable number? You can't take minus value. So the number is 7. Question number 2. The product of two consecutive odd integers is 99. Find the two integers. Again, odd numbers like 1, 3, 5, the difference is 2. So when you write x as one odd number, what's the consecutive one? X plus 2. When you take the product, that's equal to 99. Open brackets and take 99 to this side, you get this equation. Try to factorize because this is an integer. You should be getting a positive answer. Now, factors of 99 to get plus 2. 99, I can do 11 times 9, 3 times 3. So, to get 2, 9 times 11. So, the factors are 11 and 9. Middle term is plus, so this is plus and this is negative. What are the solutions? This is 0 or x minus 9 is 0. X can be negative 11 or 9. So, this is odd number. You can take either positive or negative because it is not mentioned. So, if this is positive, what's the next number? 9 and 11. If this is negative, what's the next number? Minus 11 and minus 9. Question number 3. The area of a rectangle sheet is 44 square centimeters. So, the area is 44 square centimeters. The length of the sheet is 6 centimeters more than the width. Let x be the width. Then how can we write down the length? X plus 6. Set up a quadratic equation to represent the given information. Solve the equation to find out the value x accurate to first decimal place. Okay, so here we know the area. So what's the area? X into x plus 6 is 44. Expand brackets, you get x squared plus 6x minus 44 is equal to 0. And see whether you can factorize. We don't think we can factorize because root 53 value is given as 7.28. So we can use the quadratic formula. A equals 1, B equals 6 and c equals minus 44. So we'll use the formula minus 6 plus or minus b squared is 36 minus 4 times a times minus 44 over 2a. What's the value? Minus 6 plus or minus. Minus minus becomes plus. 44 times 4, 176 plus 36, 212. Now 212, how can I write? 212, I can write as divide by 2, divide by 2 again, and I get 53. So 4 times 53. So when you take square root, you get 2 root 53 as the number. So I can rewrite this as 2 root 53 over 2. I can divide both numbers by 2. Minus 6 divided by 2, I get minus 3. These 2 get cancelled out, root 53. Now I can plug the value. Minus 3 plus or minus 7.28. When I take the positive value, this is 7 minus 3, 4 times 28, or when I take the negative value, I get minus 10.28. But x cannot be negative. This is about width. So what's the answer? 4.28. And you are asked to write down the answer correct to first decimal place. So the answer is 4.3. Question number 4. ABCD is a trapezium with AD equals x and AD equals CD. So this is also x. If the area of the trapezium is 12 square centimeters, show that x satisfies the equation. How can we find out the area of a trapezium? If you know the two lengths of the parallel sides, area of the trapezium is add the two lengths, divide by 2 and multiplied by the perpendicular height x. When you simplify, you get 2x plus 4 divided by 2 into x. You can take 2 out from this. X plus 2 over 2 multiplied by x. 2 get cancelled out and you get x plus 2 times x. X squared minus 2x for the area of the trapezium. But the area is given 12. When I take all terms to one side, I am getting x squared plus 2x minus 12 is equal to 0. That's what is given in the first part. Solve the quadratic equation by completing the square or by some other method and find the value of x to the nearest first decimal place. Which one is easy? Quadratic formula is easy. We'll use quadratic formula. What's A? A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals minus 12. X equals minus B plus or minus B squared minus 4AC over 2A. When you do that, you are getting minus minus plus 4 times 12, 48, 48 plus 4. 48 plus 4, you get 52. So root 52 over 2. 52 I can write as 4 times 13. When you take square root, I can write 2 root 13. When you divide both the numbers by 2, minus 1 plus or minus root 13. Now root 13 value we can take as 3.6. So minus 1 plus or minus 3.6. When you take the positive answer, that's 2.6. When you take negative value, you get negative 4.6. So this is, they are asking correct to first decimal place. So answers are 2.6 and minus 4.6. Here this is about, x is about length. We can't take the negative value. So x is approximately 2.6 centimeters because the unit is square centimeter there. So 2.6 centimeters. Question number 5. The squares of 3 consecutive natural numbers add up to 146. Taking x to be the number in the middle, find the largest number. So consecutive numbers, always the difference is 1. If you take the middle number as x, what's the next number? X plus 1. What's the previous number? X minus 1. So the squares of 3 consecutive natural numbers add up to 149. That means square this number plus this number, square of this plus square of this number add up to 149. You are asked to find out the x, that's the middle number. Now square all brackets, you get x squared minus 2x plus 1. And when you square this one, you get x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 149. Then when you add, you get 3x squared minus 2x and 2x get cancelled out. 1 and 1, you get 2. Then minus 149 is equal to 0. 3x squared minus 149 and plus 2, you get minus 147. Divide whole equation by 3. X squared minus 49 is equal to 0. This is difference between two square terms. You can straight away write x minus 7 and x plus 7 is 0. X can be positive 7 or x can be negative 7. But these are natural numbers. Natural numbers means counting numbers. So this cannot be minus 7. So the middle number is 7. So what's the largest number? 7 plus 1, that's 8. What's the lowest number? That's 6. So the largest number is 8. Question number 6. In a right angle triangle, the length of two sides containing the right angle are 5x and 3x minus 1. The area is given as 60 square centimeters. Set up a quadratic equation in x and solve for x. Thereby find the length of each side of the triangle. So this is about area of a triangle. So area is half times perpendicular height times the base. That's equal to 60. Multiply both sides by 2. You get 3x minus 1 times 5x equals 120. Divide this by 5. I get x into 3x minus 1 is equal to 24. Then expand brackets. You get 3x squared minus x and take this number to this side. Minus 24 is equal to 0. Now, we don't know whether we can factorize or we have to use the quadratic formula or completing the square method. But there's a number 3 is there, either quadratic formula or factorization method. We'll see whether we can factorize. 3x squared, 3x and x. Factors of 24, 6 and 4. 8, 3. But the middle term is minus 1. So if you take 6 and 4, you get 12 and 6. You are not getting. If this is 4 and 6 here, that's also not getting. What about 8 and 3? So if we put 8 and 3, you are getting. We'll put 8 here, 3 here. 3 times 3, 9. 9 and 8, the difference is 1. The middle term is negative, that means this should be negative and this is plus. So what are the factors? 3x plus 8, x minus 3. Then factors equal to 0, that means 3x plus 8 equals 0. X is minus 8 over 3 or x can be positive 3. This is about length. If we put negative value, you get a negative length. That's not possible. So what's the solution? X is 3. Then what are the lengths of 3 sides? One side is 5x. That's 5 times 3, 15 centimeters. This side, 3x minus 1. 3 times 3 minus 1. 9 minus 1, 8 centimeters. Then what's the other side? You can use the Pythagoras theorem. So other side is equal to, if we say A is equal to square root of 15 squared plus 8 squared. 15 squared is 225. 8 squared is 64. When you add these two together, you get 9, 8. So 289 square root. Square root of 289. Last digit is 9. So square root of 9, either you get 3 or 7. 7 times 7, 49. And also, if you take 20, squared is 400. This is less than 400. So this should be 13 or 17. So what's the correct answer? 13 times 13, 169. So we'll check 17 times 17. You get 289. So what's the square root of 289? 17. So the other side of the triangle is 17 centimeters. A man bought a certain number of mangoes for 600 rupees. If the price of a mango was 1 rupee less, then he could have bought 20 more mangoes. Find the number of mangoes he bought. We'll take the price, the previous price of a mango is X. This is the price of a mango. Then later, if it's 1 rupee less, what's the price? X minus 1. This is the price later. If we take this number of mangoes and this number of mangoes, the difference is equal to 20 because you get more 20 mangoes if the price reduces by 1 rupee. So you can write 600 divided by x minus 1 is the number of mangoes when the price is x minus 1. And this is the number of mangoes when the price is x. When you take the difference, that's equal to 20. Now, this is a fraction. You can find the lowest common multiple. This is x and x minus 1. Cross multiply. We can take 600 out. X minus 1 is equal to 20. When you simplify, you get 600. X and x get cancelled out. You get minus minus becomes plus. So 600 into 1 is equal to 20. Now if I write 1 there, I can do cross multiplication. When I do cross multiplication, I can write 600 is equal to 20 times x minus 1. I can divide the whole equation by 20. I get 30. So the equation I get is x squared minus x minus 30 equals 0. Can we factorize? We can factorize easily. X and x, factors of minus 30 to get minus 1. 6 times 5. This is minus and this is plus. X can be 6 or negative 5. So this is about the price. Price cannot be negative. So what's the answer? The price of one mango is 6 rupees. So x is the price of the mango. I'll write price of a mango is 6 rupees. Now we need to find out how many mangoes he bought. The price of a mango is 6 rupees. So altogether the price is 600. What's the number of mangoes? So number of mangoes is equal to 600 divided by 6. So he bought 100 mangoes. So here if the price is x, he bought 100 mangoes. If the price is x minus 1 reduced by 1, then what's the value? The price becomes 6 minus 1, that's 5 rupees. Then how many mangoes he can buy? $600 divided by 5, you get 120. So the difference between this should be 20. It's given in the question. Now in this unit, we used 3 methods to solve quadratic equations. You can factorize, you can use quadratic formula, or you can use completing square method. So when you are getting any quadratic equation, how we decide which one to use if the method is not given? So this is what we can do. If you are getting an even number in the middle, even number here, you can use completing square method easily because you can divide this by 2 easily. So you won't get fractions. So remember, if the coefficient of x is even, you can use completing square method. When you get the coefficient is odd, this is odd number, then it's better to use quadratic formula. And also, if you ask to give the answer correct to 1 decimal place or 2 decimal place, that means you can use the quadratic formula. So remember all these methods when you want to solve quadratic equations, simple equations and simultaneous equations.